This is He Knows the Sport, bringing you that heat and that far. We keeping the foot on the what? On the next. We keeping the foot on the what? On the next. And like the Tibetan Mastiff that I am, I'm applying what? Unlimited pressure. Because pressure does what? It bursts his pipes. Salute out to the real Marlowe TV, dog. Salute to you, fam. I haven't been giving salutes out to people and I don't know how long. But see, the good book, the Bible tells us, man, that iron sharpeneth iron, though. And that a man is sharpeneth by the countenance of his friend. Let me say it again. Or the good book, let it say it again. That iron sharpeneth iron. And that a man is sharpeneth by the countenance of his friend, though. I mean, me and the real Marlowe, and when I say me, I'm talking about He Knows the Sport. That's bringing you that what? That heat and that fart. And keeping the foot on the what? On the X. And keeping the foot on the what? On the X. And like the Tibetan Mastiff that he is, he's applying what? Unlimited pressure. Because pressure does what? It bursts his pipes. The way that he said, man, I missed those series videos. I was like, okay. That means that he's not talking just for himself. There's a lot of people that miss the series videos. Everyone knows, if you understand the He Knows the Sport catalog and you follow He Knows the Sport all along, the bread and butter of He Knows the Sport is series videos. It's so interesting. See, this is when you know the man above is working, dog. When two or three are gathered in his midst, you know, when two or three are gathered together, he is in the midst, dog. I was already formulating mini series videos. I was getting ready to ramp up and do series videos. And then once I commented on his video about why Errol Spence is solid, by the way, you go check that video out. That's a lethal video, dog. That video in of itself re-motivated me, dog. It re-galvanized me to a stupid level. Hey, I'm always motivated, but damn, I was like extra motivated. I mean, go listen to the breakdown. The real Marlowe has a beautiful testimony, man. And I done told this guy from day one, because I saw greatness personification in this cat from day one. I said, man, you got a beautiful testimony. Keep pushing. Keep telling your story, dog. And the reason why I saw that is because He Knows the Sport sees greatness in people. And when you see greatness in people, it's imperative to tell the person that you see the greatness in them and you want to see them keep pushing towards greatness personification. Because greatness personification can only be hindered. The motherfucker can't be stopped. So when we look at Errol the True Spence, Errol the True Spence is the next fighter after Floyd Money Mayweather, man. I don't know how many times I done told you guys this shit, but a lot of people, they don't understand this. Errol the True Spence is the next great fighter, man. He's the next great fighter in terms of boxer, in terms of what he brings to the square circle, in terms of his overall ability. See, Floyd did it from a defensive wizardry of just, he was going to collect the data. He was going to systematically break you down. He was going to systematically demolish you. Spence does this because he's a punisher by trade, man. He does it in the most brutalizing fashion. When we think of Errol the True Spence, we think of a brutalizer. When we think of Errol the True Spence, we think of a punisher. When we think of Errol the True Spence, we think of a fighter that has a complete package, man. See, fighters like this, they're always going to be polarized. And let me explain why they're going to have a level of polarization. They're going to be polarized because guys like this, they bring something to the table that just can't be understood, dog. And what can't be understood is something that just can't be fucking understood. See, a lot of people, they don't understand greatness personification. Because if they understood greatness personification, they would be marveling at the greatness that Errol the True Spence is showcasing every time he showcases himself in the boxing ring. Spence is what we call a dominant fighter of this era. Spence is what we call a fighter of epic proportions and epic magnitudes. The problem is the lamest boxing fan is such a Rudy Poo and a Plum Plum brain. There's such a classic note in a fucking troglodyte. There's such an ultra fanboy with the ultra fanboy rhetoric that they don't see the greatness personification that is endued, that is embodied in a Errol the True Spence. See, Floyd was braggadocious. Floyd was basically that aura of charisma. Errol the True Spence is like that, but Errol the True Spence is kind of like the way Kevin Durant is. Why do you think I liken Errol the True Spence to Kevin Durant and vice versa, Kevin Durant to Errol the True Spence? These guys are smooth operators in the way that they unction their true alpha abilities. You know you're going to get done the fuck up by them. You know you're going to get dominated by them. With Kevin Durant on the basketball court, Errol the True Spence in the boxing ring. You know it's going to happen. And you know these guys are complete. Just like Kevin Durant is a complete full arsenal on the basketball court. And you know you can't stop him because he's KD Trey 5, KD 3-5, Mr. Do Me and I Chill, the Slim Reaper iteration. It's the same thing with Errol the True Spence. He's Mr. Tactical Aggression, Mr. Technical Punching Placement, and Mr. Body Snatching Work, the levying onslaught of the punishment style. When we think of Errol the True Spence, we think of a punisher by trade. When we think of Errol the True Spence, we think of a guy that's going to bulldoze you. We think of a guy that's going to steamroll you. And we think of a guy that's going to plow you. Errol the True Spence does it in so many different variations. Whether if it's Danny Garcia and counter-punching him. He out-counter-punched the counter-punching. And see, here's the thing. Spence beats everybody at their own game. That's his bravado. That's his card. That's his bread and butter. Spence has been doing this from day one. This is not something that he just picked up from the Mikey Garcia fight. If you were following Errol the True Spence, when a fighter talks shit and they tell you, oh, I'm going to do this, Errol the True Spence has this thing about him, and that's where his true alpha extraordinaire, governed by true alpha economics ways, it basically reignites a fire in him to where he says, okay, you say I can't do this, well, how about I'm going to go out there and prove to you that I can do what you're doing, but I can do it at a better level than you. With Kell Brook, it was about out jabbing, because Kell Brook beat you through the fucking jab. With Lamont Peterson, it was about out-skilling Lamont Peterson, because Lamont Peterson is a very skilled fighter. With Danny Garcia, it was about out-counter-punching, because Danny Garcia is a counter-puncher. With Sean Porter, it was about out-phone boofing, because Sean Porter is a phone booth fighter. With Danny Garcia, it was about basically out-boxing him, because Danny Garcia likes to out-box his opponents. You see, Errol the True Spence beats everybody at their own game. With Chris Van Heeteren, it was about out-clowning him, because Chris Van Heeteren likes to clown you in the boxing ring. See, I can go on and on, man. Every fight that Errol the True Spence has had, he showcased this same pattern. It's like the same pattern that Floyd Mayweather showcased. That Floyd is going to collect the data, and then by round 3, anywhere between round 3 to round 5, Floyd Mayweather is going to break you down, because his Mayweather Vinci code is something you can't fucking crack. So he's going to crack your bullshit and fuck shit code, because he has an everyman style. But with Errol the True Spence, it's about punishment, man. Spence is all about brutalization. Spence is all about making every punch count. This is how Spence breaks you down. Every punch he throws has mean intentions, but every punch he throws is not wasted. Every punch he throws has tactical aggression. Every punch he throws has technical punching placement, and every punch he throws has body snatching work, the levying onslaught of the punishment style. So when we think of Errol the True Spence, we think of a guy that's a punisher by trade. When we think of Errol the True Spence, we think of a fighter that systematically his job is to break your rabbit ass down. This is why he is a fundamental gym. This is why he's a technical gym. And this is why it's laughable when fight fans try to compare the Chihuahua and i.e. Terrence Buck Crawford that's barking behind the damn fence. This guy doesn't even want no free smoke with Sean Porter. Errol the True Spence took a lot out of Sean Porter. If I was Terrence Buck Crawford and I was like, well, damn, Errol the True Spence made Sean Porter bend the proverbial fucking knee. He's turned him into a bloated trauma iteration of a Sean Porter. So I should take a crack at him, just like I did with Kell Brook. And I hit him on the shoulder and I supposedly knocked him out. It's a things that make you say, It's a things that make you say, So if you were willing to take on Kell Brook after Errol the True Spence broke him, why aren't you willing to take on Sean Porter? Because Sean Porter is not as broken as Kell Brook. We got to call a spade here. We got to keep it real. We got to keep it a buck. That's really what it boils down to. But when we look at Errol the True Spence, we look at the fighter that he is, and we look at what he brings to the table, Spence is a guy that is a complete fighter. Fight fans don't want to hear this shit. Fight fans don't want to hear that there's a guy that dominates on this level, because it speaks to them and their personality. Their personality is one of mediocrity. Their personality is one of parity. They don't want to see someone lording over and dominating. This is what Errol the True Spence's mission statement was in the Sean Porter fight. In the first press conference, he said it. I want to lord over and dominate the welterweight division. And boy, this is what he's done. For a guy to get out of a car crash, I mean, this is unheard of. And to use Danny Garcia, of all people, the number 5 welterweight at the time, obviously after Spence fucked his ass up, he ain't ranked number 5 no more. This is what happens when you go 12 rounds with Spence. Like Derek James said, you are no longer the same fighter. Spence picks him as the tune-up. That's why he said tune his ass up. It was basically him saying, this is my fucking tune-up. And then he continues on from there. He was rusty, but his rust didn't look like the lamest rust. It didn't look like a Rudy Poo and a Plum Brain rust. It didn't look like a classic Doden or Troglodyte rust. It didn't look like an ultra fanboy with the ultra fanboy rhetoric rust. It looked like basically a tactical aggression, a technical punching placement, and a body snatching work, the levying onslaught, the punishment style rust. I mean, this is impressive. This is what this guy went through, and he was able to step into the fight Danny Garcia, and make Danny Garcia look ordinary. This is what Floyd used to do, man. This is why Errol the True Spence is the next era-filled fighter, like Hino Sport told you guys. And the prediction king strikes again. And the prediction king strikes again. Because when it's all said and done, you have to ask yourselves a simple question. You have to ask yourself a simple underlying current and underlying truth. And what's that? When you're rocking with the best, you don't settle for the rest, though. When you're rocking with the best, you don't settle for the rest. So when you're rocking with the best, and i.e. Errol the True Spence, why are you rocking and settling for the fucking rest? It's because, like Jay-Z said, 99% of the people on this planet are in a delusion, man. They are in an infinite Tsukuyomi. If you watch Naruto, you will understand that. They are in what we call a virtual reality. They are in what we call the movie Ready Player One, though. They're not in reality. Because in reality, anyone that knows the square circle, anyone that's using the true boxing eye test, they know that Errol the True Spence is the alpha through and through. And they know that Terrence Bud Crawford is the beta through and through. That's the cold-hearted. That's the unadulterated. That's the cutthroat truth teller fashion. When we sit here and look at Errol the True Spence, we see a fighter that we have not seen since Floyd Money Mayweather, man. Andre Ward was an unofficial SOG. It was an unofficial era-filled fighter. And the reason why it's unofficial is because he's just not as famous and not as popular as Floyd Money Mayweather, Errol the True Spence. But I'm gonna do a fucking series on that shit too. But when it's all said and done, when we look at Errol the True Spence and what he's made up of, and we look at the body of work that he's become, Spence is what he is, man. He is a complete package fighter. Absence saying this, absence acknowledging this, and absence acting as if this is the case, it just shows that you're a boxing casual. It shows you don't know shit about boxing, and it shows you don't respect the sport. Because to respect the sport is to respect greatness, dog. Now it's to the point where you have to say, if you ain't talking Errol the True Spence, you ain't talking boxing. Let me say it again. If you ain't talking Errol the True Spence, you ain't talking boxing. That's the cold-hearted. That's the unadulterated. That's the cutthroat truth teller fashion. I keeps the foot on the what? On the necks. I keeps the foot on the what? On the necks. Once again, the real Marlo, salute to you, man, for reinvigorating a fire in Hino Sport to do these series videos. Because I'm doing a 100-part series on this shit, dog, of why Errol the True Spence is now the next dominant fighter after Floyd Money Mayweather. This is part 1 of a 100-part series. This is Hino Sport. Check it out.